Welcome to Colorful and Anime, where we talk about anime from a colorful perspective, commentary on nerd culture and stuff. I'm your host, Lance, my homie, Jordan.
Yo.
And we here to talk about Trigun.
Hell yeah.
The guns of the tree. That was terrible.
Vash the Stampede.
Vash the Stampede. We'll talk about this later in the show, but we figured since the new Vash the Stampede, Trigun, is coming out, I don't even think it's called Trigun. I think they're calling it Vash something.
Are they really?
I have to double check that. I had an article in here.
I'll look it up
while
you're talking.
Either which way, Trigun, which is a staple in the anime community. It's weird because I wouldn't say that Trigun is anybody's top 10. As we were making that list last week or a couple weeks back, that didn't even come up in my mind, like to put Trigun on any list or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But it is consistently across, I would say, everybody has watched it at some point, and nobody has said it was trash.
Right.
So, I definitely want to talk about it ahead of the new show, but also to kind of talk about my first question is why do we watch this show? Because it's not like, so Cowboy Bebop, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna talk about those two different, how those are alike and how they differ. But Cowboy Bebop, I would say, has the story, has the graphics, has the dope music. This doesn't have any of that, but we still watch it. Why is that?
I think partially because Vash is kind of like a likable character.
Yeah.
Like, for those of us that like the lovable idiot characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like the story is not, like, I felt like the story leaves a lot to be desired. Cause, like, we talked on this briefly before we started recording, but like, pretty much every episode follows the same kind of trajectory. Like,
I was like, y'all didn't even
strolls up into it
until the last.
Yeah, like
arc,
the last.
Yeah,
like strolls up into a new town. Niggas getting shot up.
Right.
He, for whatever
he somehow
reason,
saves the day. Like,
somehow saves the day. Nobody believes that he's Vash the Stampede.
Right. Right.
Like, copy paste. Like,
yeah.
So it's not like a super ingenious concept or anything like that. Like. And, like, outside of Vash, like, not a lot of the characters are super memorable.
Yeah.
Like, there's a handful. Like, the girls,
other than
the girls from the insurance agency are pretty funny.
Girls.
Specifically, the stupid one.
Yeah.
The tall one
with
that's
the
just
big
strong
gun.
for no reason. She just bust out the Gatling gun. And she just be going to town on niggas. People was like, what the heck? Where'd you pull it out from?
Yeah.
She just be going ham for no reason.
Yeah. I think even the fake, well, I can call him a fake priest.
Yeah,
but he definitely not
preacher.
legit.
Yeah.
But his character is also very interesting too. Like, he makes an entrance in the early part of the season, and then somehow they find their way back in the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he reminds me of, and not maybe not like too much so, but I think about I can say the sidekick. But the dog with the big sword of Rurouni Kenshin in Samurai X.
Oh yeah,
it kind of reminds me of how their stories kind of interweaving a little bit.
Oh, what is this?
I forget his name offhand. I just remember the really large sword. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. In that this is what happens when you make a really good protagonist.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of can't get it wrong. And I think, like you said, that's kind of, for the most part, that's what keeps you on. That's what keeps you going. It's like, oh man, this dude, and I'll talk about some of my favorite moments, but I think the cool thing about Vash the Stampede is he really is that guy. Like, he's that guy. Like, and they, as they insurance girls and other folks that say he's not that guy, people pretend to be him.
Yeah, right.
When you get to the end of the episode, you see him break something down, or you see him there's the water reservoir episode where, like, he's like at the end of that episode, you see him kind of like finesse his all. You're like, this dude know what he's been doing from jump. Like, he's not, like you said, although there's the lovable idiot kind of front or whatever.
Yeah.
Him getting out of this situation is pure strategy, pure instinct, and also, if you do it more than once, this ain't luck.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so I was watching, somebody had reviewed Trigun, and so the new season is called Trigun Stampede.
Yeah.
So I was watching it, and they were like, how like Vash is able to just like clumsily
right
like stumble his way through fights and not get hit and not get touched. Well, most of them, some of them he gets worked, but
right.
And you know what's kind of funny? It kind of reminds me of the theory that Jar Jar Binks is actually a Sith Lord.
Yeah, yes.
Because like,
yep,
this man been in hella fights, escapes untouched every single time, and you're like,
they're like, you ain't get touched once. I'm like, come on, bro.
Like it's a little bit too good to be true,
right? Because even even Obi-Wan got, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
he got his licks, right? So I think, so I think with Vash, like, and like you said, with Vash being, I mean, I like Vash a lot as a character, like, and I feel like as the story progresses, when you start seeing more of like his backstory,
yes,
like you start to like his character even more,
right?
Because you're like, okay, now you understand his motivations, you understand why he is the way he is, why he never really gets serious in fights,
and you see what happens when he
does. Yeah, exactly.
I ain't gonna spoil it, but I'll spoil everything else but that, just because that's the epic show. Yeah, exactly. You know.
But no, yeah, like, so because Vash, he's a cool character because like he's got complexities, he's got, you know, the fight sequences are good for the most part.
Yeah. But that's, sorry, go ahead.
And I was gonna say, and then like when they wrap his story at the end, like literally like the last 2 episodes, when they like wrap his story, like it was kind of like, it was satisfying-ish.
Right.
I'm like,
right.
I guess that's a decent ending to his story. Like,
yeah.
Could they have done a better job with the ending? Probably.
And I just sorry, go ahead.
No, I just felt like kind of like towards the end, it kind of got a little, kind of like the same thing with Cowboy Bebop. Like the end felt rushed. Yes,
because you took us through this entire journey, and you needed a resolution to this as soon as possible.
Yeah,
I'm curious because the manga that this is based off of, the manga, is not it's not the same story. There's no insurance girls.
Oh, really? So I haven't read the manga yet.
I read this up on a Wikipedia article before, this episode, but like the perspective is from his perspective. Sure. So like his psyche, how he sees things and stuff like that. And so like, I don't know if that would have been better or worse, because I do like the show, but I'm wondering like, is that ending, and if you read the manga for Trigun, let us know. Is the ending a lot better than the anime? But ultimately, I'm wondering if that shift in perspective is that different, or if it is satisfying.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I didn't realize it was from his perspective in the in the manga, and then that would change a lot, like obviously, because it's from their perspective for the majority of it, right? And then from like kind of like a third party narrator kind of a perspective, right? For some of it, like
exactly. And then you get some other people's perspective, like the people he interacts with and what they're thinking and stuff. But let's talk about, I wanted to bring up, so one thing, so this is how I feel about this show. I feel like Vash is the actual space cowboy. Like I know that Spike Spiegel has the title and the crown, but I feel like maybe some of this is like the lower budgeting as well, but the fact that he's in the desert, the fact that this guy he slings a gun, he's not throwing punches like Spike Spiegel, not at all. But I guess what are you? I guess my question is, or what are some things that obviously I would say that Cowboy Bebop is the better show, but what are some things maybe that Trigun gets right that Cowboy Bebop either also gets right or maybe didn't get right? Like, what are some things if you compare and contrast the two?
I mean, I think with Trigun, you have a continuity of like your scenery. Yeah, because like even though you're on one planet the entire time, with the exception of going into space a little bit, but right. You're on one planet. He's traveling between towns. He's traveling in like a very similar environment. Yeah. So they didn't have to really put a lot of thought and effort into like the background. Because with Cowboy Bebop, like every episode they're in a different place. Right. Different planets. There's space battles, space travel, all that stuff. So like you have to focus a lot more on like the visuals. Yeah. Whereas a Trigun, you're in the desert 100% of the time.
Right.
Like, you ain't got to focus on the desert that much because the desert ain't that interesting.
Yeah.
And so there's less focus on that. And I feel like, and I mean, I don't feel like they did a better job of emphasizing the characters than Cowboy Bebop did. Because I feel like with the crew, obviously you have Spike, you've got Jet, you've got what's her face, Faye,
mm-hmm. And
you've got
dang it,
the corgi,
the corgi and the tech kid,
and I forget the kid's name.
Yeah, I was like, what anyways,
it'll come back eventually,
right?
Later tonight when I'm feeding Emma, and it doesn't matter anymore,
right?
It'll come back to me. So I mean, you have a good crew there, and then like I said with Trigun, like I feel like Vash, to me is in my opinion probably the best character, and then you've got, I forget his name. You've got the preacher, who like kind of for me is like a Spike Spiegel character,
right?
Like,
that's what I felt like he was. I was gonna say that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the swaggy, kind of like ladies' man, like
broke. Also,
broke. Oh, yeah, always like drifting because he's broke,
right?
Yeah, but then like when he gets down to business, like this man is serious. Like he's right. This man's not a joke.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I felt like of Trigun, the preacher is the Spike Spiegel character.
Yeah.
And there's not really like a Vash character in Cowboy Bebop.
No. I think if
there's no lovable idiots.
Yeah, I think if anything, the one similarity that I do like is, it's the whole my nemesis used to be my brother trope kind of deal.
Yeah,
and so there's
that's the same.
This is literal in
Trigun,
Trigun, but obviously there's Vicious and Spike and Cowboy Bebop. But I do appreciate them having that angle for. You know why I appreciate that? Because it always makes that in that trope. Maybe this is just like a commentary on like how we view right and wrong, but they have their protagonist. I'm not ever killing nobody.
Right.
I'm gonna try to do right, and sure, I might not necessarily care about everything that's going on, but I'm gonna try to do the best I can. And then that nemesis character or is it Knives?
Knives, yeah.
It's like, all right. Now I'm gonna push you to the exact, the fullest extent, and I'm gonna push you. I'm gonna push your morality all the way to and the same thing with Vicious and Spike. It's like I'm gonna push you in impossible situations, and you have to figure out who you really are. I know who you really are because I used to do dirt with you.
Yeah,
but now you gonna have to figure out who you really are for all this other people. Where you front,
stick to your guns or not,
right?
Like,
and because I feel like that's a real. I feel like what manifests on screen in that way, those are things that actually happen internally.
Yeah.
And so for them to have two characters, that trope or whatever, is super
I think,
cool.
Yeah, talking about Knives and Vash, I think with that like reveal and like when they actually talked about their backstory, I didn't really like their backstory that much.
No.
Because it wasn't compelling, first of all, like.
I think leading up to it was compelling, but once they kind of explained it, I was like,
the reveal was like, that was disappointing. And then, because Knives' motivation is stupid,
right?
Like, because you have a lot of characters where like your villain is like, damn,
you got a point,
like damn. But Knives is just stupid. Like he just like violence for violence sake. I'm just like, why? Like that's not appealing. It's not really
right.
And so like I didn't like his character at all. Like he didn't really get much screen time because like with Vicious and Cowboy Bebop, like
he's like he pops up regularly, recurring character.
Yeah,
right?
Like he pops up somewhat regularly.
Yeah,
whereas Knives, like you don't even see him until like halfway through the show.
Yeah,
and then like or even like 60%, you're 60% of the way through the story, and you're like, who is this character?
Yeah,
who? Like because you've seen all the cronies, and you're like, who do they work for?
Right.
And then like I said, and then their backstory about like who they are, because I don't want to like spoil too much. But like because
it's a show worth. I was like, so I mean, we're criticizing the course, but it's a show worth following.
Oh, for sure, yeah, definitely. I mean, overall, I liked it. Like overall, I liked the show. I just felt like their backstory. I feel like the author started, and then he realized there was going to be a lot more work than he anticipated, or that he didn't want to drag it out.
Yeah,
and so he kind of just was like, "All right, that's that." And because like I felt unfulfilled by Vash and Knives' story,
right?
Because I was like,
especially in comparison to all like of the even though most of those plots are the same, the fact that the whoever did the screenplay or whatever for it, they're wrapping up these stories in like 20 minutes,
right?
These little mini adventures,
yeah.
And so when you go to the part that's supposed to be like the longer arc and it's supposed to draw you in, and it doesn't do more than what those one episode, like those episodical things are doing or whatever. I feel you on that.
And again, with neither of us having read the manga, like correct us if we're
right.
Correct
Please.
us if there's things in the manga that they're like, oh no, actually they did a much better job of explaining it in the manga, like which I would anticipate.
Right. Well, that's usually how it goes.
It's usually how it goes. But yeah, at least in the anime version, like I don't think they did a good job with Vash and Knives' story.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it'll be interesting to see how they change things with the new one.
Yeah.
If they try and stick more to the manga, because it seems like
it's supposed to be. I thought it was supposed to. Well, now I got to pull up keep going. My bad.
Because I feel like from the trailers that they've released so far, it seems like it'll be more from Vash's perspective.
Yes.
And then if it's from Vash's perspective, you might get a better idea of their story and the back and his backstory with Knives.
Yeah, because it's not on here. I thought it was in this article. I believe that it's supposed to actually be. I ain't gonna say a full on prequel, but it is supposed to get. It's supposed to follow a younger Vash.
Oh, okay.
So and we'll get to that. I don't want to jump too far ahead. One thing I do want to ask: favorite moments from the show. I'll give one off rip. I just even initially watching this show, I do appreciate the whole confusion of them not knowing it's him up until like 5 episodes. She like him like
right. That's really
because they're like it can't be him. And
right.
Dog, him. He with us everywhere. We keep saying we're Vash, and he keep tearing up all these cities.
Well, I think it's so funny because his reputation is that he like rolls into town and then literally just destroys everything. But what people don't realize
it's not
him destroying things, it's everybody else trying to kill him.
Right. It's not his fault. Like he's not like he's not nuking towns. Right. Like
he's just like dancing his way around the bullets and the bullets are just destroying everything. Yeah, I think that the whole point, like the insurance girls and their denial of him being Vash Stampede is really hilarious.
Yeah.
I think any time that like somebody claims to be him and then he just like humiliates him in like the dumbest ways.
Yeah, even Big Vash.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
In episode like 1 or 2 or whatever.
I think it was the first, second episode. Because I'm thinking like the dudes that rolled up and they were trying to rob the bank, and it was
the bank episode.
Yeah, the bank episode, and you had the dude that was like, "Oh, I'm Vash the Stampede." He thought he was real smooth,
right?
And then he just like totally embarrassed him, like publicly, and humiliated him on purpose.
Yes, but also made it seem like, this ain't that big of a deal. Like this isn't like a hard task for me. There's there's the water reservoir episode. Yeah. There's the dang it. I do sort of like the train episode where the kid, where they hijack the train or whatever with the gang. Mm-hmm, only because I do like the kind of like the inner conflict with the kid or whatever. And also like how that was one of those few moments in the show where it's like he might not be able to pull this one off. Like this might not go so well. Yeah, right. But yeah, I think those are some of my favorite moments for sure. I like when any moment when they start getting the preacher more involved and he pulls out his secret weapon. Again, we haven't had to spoil much, so I won't spoil that either. Yeah. But it's still very interesting. You know what I mean?
That gunfight, and this is slightly spoilerish. Yeah, I mean not super spoilerish, but slightly spoilerish. The gunfight between the preacher and Vash. Yes, that was great. Yes, like, that was so good.
It was satisfying because you're like, why is he carrying around this thing? What is that? Oh, it's Macross because I take offers. And you're like, and the thing about that is like that Vash knows from jump. Like I'm shady. I know another shady guy when I see one. Like
exactly. They knew each other. They were like, you ain't what you saying.
Right.
You ain't what you saying to everybody you are. Like.
Exactly. Let's go. I guess we can speed right through the rep report card. Trying to go back. I mean, it was a very interesting show. I don't think that it was meant to be extremely diverse, but I do think that it was diverse in a way. So I like it. a few villages that they stopped in. They did sort of change like skin tones and stuff like that. I'm gonna give it a B minus. I feel like that's appropriate because of the intent of the show. It also wasn't like it wasn't completely homogenous in a way or whatever. So yeah,
and I think I would agree with that because, and I mean, you know, it's old enough where like obviously they didn't care about representation. They weren't trying to be out here like, oh, we need to put black folks in here,
right?
But I feel like they did. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, because that was one of Cowboy Bebop's strengths. Obviously, you're traveling between worlds, so like you have some worlds where everybody's dark skinned, you have some worlds where everybody's light skinned, like
right. But if you don't, if you like, only have one kind of setting,
yeah, right,
yeah,
it's a little harder. But yeah, I feel like they did a decent job. And then, like, of course, you know, you have with certain episodes, you have the difference, you know, in economic statuses and right like that. Like you have that.
They did a really good job. Like again, that's the water episode almost too. Is like. The fact that this dude first
owns
of all,
the water,
own the only water in town. I'm like, you don't have one source, you have the only source,
the source of all water.
Yeah, I appreciate them having those moments because it's like, oh man, like this is crazy. This dude got this mansion and all of this other stuff, and this town is in ruins.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, you know. And there's no reason why you have to sell water. Right. It's a free resource, but you've mined it to the point of, you know. So I think like, I think I recognize that too. So yeah, that's why I say yeah. But anyways, let's go. Rate it. We here. 1 to 10. 1 is terrible. 10 is binge worthy. No 7s. No 7. No 6s. There we go.
I think. I mean, I would probably give it. I mean, if we're not doing 7, I'd probably give it. It would either be a 6.5 or like a 7.5. Like it's in that 6 to 8 sweet spot. Yeah. Like I wasn't like blown away by any stretch of the imagination. Like, and I didn't like binge through it, but like I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like, and I would recommend it for sure. Like I would recommend it to people who are already anime fans.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would recommend it as like a starter anime because the animation style doesn't really hold up anymore. Like it looks old.
Yeah.
It looks really old. It's kind of hammy, like the dialogue, like the action sequences are kind of hammy. But it's a cult classic, you know. Mm-hmm. So like obviously it's got its status for a reason because it is a good anime.
Right.
Like I wouldn't say it's bad. So I would probably somewhere between a 6 and an 8. Yeah,
I'm gonna get this number, and it's not because the show is bad. It's just because the animation. It's very bad. I'm gonna give it a 5, and that doesn't mean that I won't watch it again. Yeah. Like if it's on in the background, I'm definitely. Oh yeah, that's Trigun. But like I think what did it for me is the reason it's so low, as we gave it all the praise, is because some of them action sequences is painful. Like to see, like that's the one thing.
The Nebraska brothers?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh,
I'm from Nebraska, so that was funny for me.
Yeah, it was, but it was like the animation sequences, like where, and they had what they had. So I'm not saying that like, of course.
And I mean, for that day and age, they were probably cutting edge,
right? Yo, look at this!
Can you believe he did that?
But at the end of the day, good anime, and this is probably gonna be like the lowest rating for like one of my. It is a favorite of mine. So like when I say that 5, it's just because I can't, in good conscience, with everything else that exists in anime land, give it a higher than the 5. But I still think that it blows a lot of other stories out of the water. Although, like I said, I would agree with your assessment on the ending. It's still kind of it's still good. Let's rate on a scale of 1 to 5. How much are you anticipating the new Trigun? They're changing the animation style. They're following, like I said, they're following a younger Vash.
Yeah.
It's I don't see it's not going to be an Insurance Girls.
I feel like it. I don't know. I'm really on the fence about it because when I saw the trailer, I didn't really like the animation style.
That's what I'm saying. It's vastly different. No pun intended.
I mean, obviously, it's vastly different. Right.
That was bad.
I love it. That was great. My anime dad jokes.
Right.
It's going in the pocket. But no, yeah, obviously with a more modern animation style, it'll be a lot different. It's not an animation style I'm super a fan of, it just in general, because I feel like it looks.
Because this looks more like what's the joint that we all watched that was highly rated? That was the Netflix original that used to be a video game.
Oh, Arcane.
Yeah, it's similar to that kind of style.
One. Yeah.
And I know you weren't a fan of that either.
I wasn't a fan of the animation style. I liked the show a lot, but the animation style I wasn't a fan of. Yeah. And it's kind of weird because like nowadays, like the animation styles vary so much depending on what studio does it.
Yeah.
You know, because they just recently announced that Genshin Impact is going to get an anime.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's going to be by the same studio that did Demon Slayer. So everybody's real hyped about the animation, how it's going to look. Because, like, no cap, I think it's, what studio? I don't remember. But whichever studio did Demon Slayer, they killed that, bro. Like, they killed it.
I feel like
so they killed it. So like obviously animation studios makes a big difference.
I can't pronounce it, but
that's what I thought it was.
UFO table. That's what we're gonna call it. We're not about to pronounce it how it's supposed to be pronounced. Sound it up.
But yeah, I feel like depending on what studio, like I don't know what studio's doing it.
Yeah.
But like nowadays, studio makes such a big difference on the animation style because you're either gonna get like a super CGI heavy, or you're gonna get something that looks crisp.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a good blend of the two. Because, like, well, you know, what happened with AOT. The first, 2 seasons are really good. And then they changed studios. And then after that, you're like, I don't know if I like this anymore. Like, the animation style.
And it was hard, too. Because, like, even with COVID, it affected the like, how they recorded the dialogue. And you can tell the difference. And that's hard. But all I have to say is, even, like you said, when they made that shift, that change, it literally was like a detriment. Yeah. And not that it was it made it a terrible show. You kind of can't make AOT terrible, but we still difference, guys. Yeah. So 1 to 5.
So all that to say, I would probably say I'm like maybe like a 2.
2.
Like I'm not super hyped for it. Like I'm not gonna watch it when it first comes out.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna watch it because we're gonna review it.
Right.
But it's not super high on my list of things I need to watch that are coming out this year. Like, there's a lot of things that I'm way more excited for.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to give it a 3, but for that reason. So, because I think, like, new arc of Bleach is coming out. I need to catch up on Jujutsu Kaisen. I need to catch up on My Heroes also. That's coming back out. One Piece, they're catching up on the manga, which means that those episodes are also rolling out. And so like when I think about all of the different things that exist, I can't in good conscience put it higher than the 3. But like I would like to see this reimagined in a different style, because like part of my issue with the show is the animation style. So if they shifted completely, I don't know. I'd be curious to see if it's going to be a fresh approach, like all together, like perspective. I mean, it's hard though, because the character of Vash is so great in the show that if they change him too much, then it's like, I don't know. Do I like this like I used to?
Yeah, right. True.
But I don't know. We'll see. But that's where I'm at with it. But yeah, I think that's that's it. But y'all know the slogan: stay colorful. Peace.